Can you hear that? There's birds chirping outside. I don't know if you can hear that. To me, that's always a good sign. To me, it feels like that I'm in the right frame of mind when I'm noticing the birds chirping. It's about awareness, being outside of my head, not being so constricted as if I feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. I like hearing the birds chirping. I don't know why they're chirping. I don't know where the birds came from. I could express my beliefs on that, but I'm not going to. The main thing that got me to turn the camera on today had to do with the end of the world that didn't happen yesterday, and the difference between knowing and believing. There are really very few things that we know. Water is wet. Fire is hot. Aside from that, I have a hard time even thinking of very many other things that I really know. And yet, all the time, people express their beliefs with the word know. That's K-N-O-W, know. I know there's life after death. I know there's no such thing as life after death. People say those kind of things all the time, expressing a belief as knowledge and arguing about it. All of our arguments are about things we believe, not things we know. Are you really going to have an argument with somebody about whether or not water is wet? Yeah, I'm sure there's a few stubborn folks out there that would argue with you. Or maybe you're one of those stubborn folks that would argue about that. You could argue about definitions. I mean, what does wet really mean anyway? But for the most part, we argue about our beliefs. And when you think about it, that's the only thing that makes sense to argue about, unless you want to get back to the arguing about water being wet. So on the one hand, the only thing that makes sense to argue about is our beliefs. But on the other hand, it really makes no sense at all. Because what I believe and what you believe, if they're two different things, who's right and who's wrong, how can we determine that? If it's something that's unknowable, like the end of the world, for instance, I have a belief, you have a belief. It's unknowable. What's the point of arguing? I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change my mind. And still we argue. Maybe the point of arguing is just arguing itself. Like sports. People who don't get into sports can say, yeah, what's the point of football? Sports are a waste of time. It's all just a matter of opinion. And yet we continue to argue. And in the aftermath of this whole the world is coming to an end on May 21st thing, it just seems all the more absurd to me how much we argue about our beliefs. The good news is there's a lesson to be learned from all of this world is coming to an end stuff and how much publicity it got. At least I'm assuming there's a lesson to be learned, but I don't know what it is. I have some beliefs, but I don't know. And if you think you know, I believe you're wrong, There's an old expression, I'll believe it when I see it. Shouldn't you know it when you see it?